Before we begin, I have a request of you, the best fans I could ask for. I want to know who you are. Send me an email to nothingisrevealedshow@gmail.com. Write whatever you want. Who are you? What's going on in your life? What's your favorite mystery? What interests you? Are you okay? I'll be listening, and the responses will be compiled into a write-in video in late 2020. Well, my channel has gone from a toddler to a child. It's approaching its 2-year anniversary, and I couldn't have done it without you. You know it by now. I'm glad you're here. My list of future episodes is really long. The list of topics to investigate is even longer. But over the past 2 years, I've looked into a bunch of interesting mysteries and funny phenomena that just weren't big enough for their own 10-minute episode. So as we approach 2,000 subs to this channel, I bring you the Bits and Bobs episode. 4 micro mysteries, solved and unsolved. And stick around till the end for a community highlight. Some of my favorite comments and emails you lovely people have sent in. Welcome to Nothing is Revealed. Here's a creaky door that sounds like a witch laughing. So, what do I mean by a micro mystery? Here's a perfect example. On the Eroise coast of Brittany, France, the beaches are beautiful and serene, except for the Garfield novelty telephones. Whole telephones and their water-warped parts have been washing up on the beaches for the last 40 years. All chipped and eroded by the sea, they're kinda terrifying. It's more a gag gift product than anything. Tacky as all hell. Can you imagine a worse thing to break your picturesque vacation immersion? So where do they come from? Earlier this year, the mystery was solved. In 2018, an anti-litter group raised some awareness of the issue. That is, plastic pollution in the designated marine parks of France. And what better symbol than this embodiment of consumerism and kitsch? And this campaign caught the ear of a local farmer who remembered all the way back to the 80s when the first phone washed up. He was just a child then, but he knew the area well and soon found an open shipping container stuck in a fissure. It was half empty. Most of the stuff in it had likely been looted, except for a shipment of useless orange telephones. Using the farmer's instructions, the anti-litter group climbed down the slippery rocks and soon spotted the container, mostly buried in the fissure. Inaccessible, at least for now, without the right machinery. Solved or not, the Garfield phones continue to haunt the beach. Next up, the electric hacking signs. Most of what I look into, like the Ever Dream This Man site out of Italy, is hundreds if not thousands of miles from me. Makes it hard to investigate on the ground. But when a mystery closer to home rolls by, well, I take notice. These pieces of paper were taped on street signs all over Lexington, Kentucky. They mentioned the all-seeing eye and that all electric info can be hacked. And guess what? Your eyesight is electric info. Apparently, it's a conspiracy theory that the ever-present they can control your brain by hacking your electric eyes. Lexingtonians on Reddit were quick to point out how silly this was. The all-seeing eye symbol is just the Deathly Hallows from Harry Potter. Not all of them are taped up. A woman wearing a blindfold was seen holding a bigger sign as well as tacking up small ones around a Walmart. And yeah, the woman hanging up the papers seemed pretty ragged. Maybe homeless, probably mentally ill. This commenter nailed it. When I saw this, I first thought of the Toynbee tiles as well. Go watch that video. It's the way the words pile up. They are silly and pseudoscientific, but also kind of mystical and interesting. The difference between this and the Toynbee tiles is the person who puts the tiles down, they've never been spotted doing it, which has always added to the mystery. But in this case, you can see the person who espouses this belief, maybe homeless, maybe ill. And the whole thing all of a sudden feels less romantic and magical and more depressing. It's not an art project, it's a real belief to these people, a delusion that's damaged their lives. And in that sense, it almost changes my mind about those kinds of mysteries. And I feel kinda guilty for glorifying them in the first place. Okay, let's lighten the mood. I found this adorable Flash game, Winnie the Pooh's Home Run Derby, produced by Disney, and I'm playing it on Yahoo Kids Japan. Please excuse the setup. I'm not a gaming YouTuber. Okay, here we go. Okay. This one, here we go. Okay. One more. Grand Slam.
20 minutes later.
Alright, we did it. Stage 2. Don't recognize that character. Not familiar with Winnie the Pooh lore. Oh my god. Okay, here we go. Come on. Okay. Here we go. Got it.
2 hours later.
What? Oh my god. Oh. Finally. Okay. Getting a little tense here. Okay, we know them. Okay, again, here we go. I don't think that's how baseball works. As you can see, this game is insanely difficult. Winnie the Pooh on the outside, Dark Souls on the inside. The thing that fascinates me about this is why? Why is a children's Flash game so difficult? Who exactly made this? Were they just following the conventions of the Nintendo Entertainment System days when games were more punishing? Or was there an ulterior motive, a developer who wanted to play a mean joke on thousands of Japanese children? Unfortunately for us, I don't think we'll ever know the truth. And double unfortunate, future citizens of the internet won't even know this game existed. That's because this is a Flash game. Adobe Flash is a multimedia software platform, and it's been used for everything from internet and desktop applications to animations and browser games. This platform, it came about in the internet's angsty teenage years when we were still learning how to, well, internet. It always had problems. It wasn't secure, it was buggy, and its performance wasn't great. Simply put, there are far better alternatives today. Flash has been dying for years. Apple announced their mobile devices would no longer support it in 2010, Android in 2012. Browsers began disabling it by default, and finally, Adobe announced it would be discontinued in 2020. This is sad for many reasons, but one of the biggest is the loss to the legacy of browser-based games and animations. A whole generation of us grew up on these games. There are dedicated archivists trying to preserve all this, but many have and will be lost. This devilish Winnie the Pooh game potentially among them. I'm sorry, I can't help tanking the mood. I promise this last one is as funny and bizarre as they get.
Hello, welcome to the show.
fan directed me to this website. It's a bare-bones list of paragraphs and hyperlinks. They're all stories written by this guy, Ulrich Harbursta. And they're all about rapping 1960s rock icon Roy Orbison in plastic wrap. Not in a violent way, just in general? Okay, maybe this is disturbing. At first blush, it seems like a little goof. So strange, it's funny. But this is a long con, and this rabbit hole goes deep. It starts all the way back in 2007. There are numerous lengthy stories, including an entire novel, all about this bizarre topic. Not only that, others have contributed their stories about Roy Orbison being wrapped in cling film, or how Europeans refer to plastic wrap. I start at the feet and work my way up. I wrap him as tenderly as a mother swaddling an infant. I marvel at the play of light on the miraculous translucence. Soon, Roy Orbison is entirely wrapped in cling film. I thank God that I was born to live this minute. Deep in my bones, I know this is more an outlandish hoax than a genuine, creepy collection of fan fiction. But the thing I find so funny about this is Ulrich is staring us down and he's not blinking. He doesn't crack a smile or let anyone in on the joke, and by keeping it so straight-faced and serious, it really just makes it funnier. Another wrinkle in the meta-narrative mystery here is Ulrich's manager, Michael Kelly. Supposedly, Mr. Kelly is a literary manager type who archives other bizarre works of fan fiction. As the website mentions, Kelly is often misunderstood to be the writer of these stories, something Ulrich is quick to correct. And yet, the site still advertises Mr. Kelly's own work. His more realistic novels like Clara and Miles act up. Vice conducted an interview with Ulrich, and it could not have been more straight-faced. Genuine answers to questions like, where do you start your stories, and what's the key to successful fan fiction? It wasn't until this question, are you actually Ulrich, or are you Michael Kelly, that it dawned on me. How could I be so blind?
There is no Ulrich.
It's just a guy named Michael Kelly, if that's even his name, doing an odd bit of avant-garde comedy, I guess, pretending to be a strange German.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
This is exactly the reason I make these videos. I love when people do weird things just for a weird laugh. But this is special. I mean, this is dedicated. And if the idea of wrapping someone in plastic wrap is creeping you out, conjuring images of crime scenes and Dexter, you're not alone. When Vice asked if the whole thing was sexual, Kelly replied, I do not know, but it is certainly a beautiful thing. Now let's get out of here before we all go insane. I've gotten a lot of amazing comments and emails since I started the channel. I want to thank my patrons, as well as Joe Hunter for his amazing thumbnail work. One thing that always gets brought up in the comments and emails is a creepypasta by the name Candle Cove. I talked about this one in my Lost Episodes episode, but it really embodies the entire channel. It's all about seeing something creepy and weird when you're young, and repressing it for years. Then one day, you remember, and you make a YouTube channel called Nothing Is Revealed and see if anyone else remembers. My dear viewer, this is our story. Speaking of that video, user Pastel Prince wrote of his own lost episode. He swore he had a memory of the show Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and one of the characters emblazoning their car with a giant LED sign that said, I have crabs. Pastel Prince has since seen every episode multiple times, but never found that scene again. Well, I couldn't leave him hanging. I did some sleuthing and found out why. This scene does exist. It just never made it into an official episode. Season 4, Episode 3, Bonus Deleted Scenes. And how can I go on without mentioning the most common comment on the What Is This Thing video. The Wing-Wah egg rolls reminded everyone of Waluigi. On the Plastic Love video, user Bailey Watts left a nice comment before saying that she was listening to the Us2 group. Brief context, the Us2 group was a 60s rock band out of Cincinnati that featured my grandpa. They had a hit. Then they all went on with their lives and became lawyers and responsible adults. My grandpa died a few months ago, and I'm glad his work could reach some other people. I have a copy of the royalties contract he signed back in 1968, granting him 3 cents per radio play of his song. According to him, he never saw a dime of it. As a now monetized but still small YouTuber, 2 generations later, I feel his pain. Above all else, I want to thank everyone who commented that you like my stuff and you don't understand why the channel isn't bigger. That's like the ultimate compliment, and I hope it does get bigger someday. I want to shout out a couple dedicated fans: Paul R.W. Jr., Regina, Ray Day, The Dark Side, Tian Fang, Steve Trotta, Ben Cushing, B. Wade, and Philip Byer, aka Sweet Philium. Also, I'm working on a follow-up video to one of my oldest, the Captain Coochie's Key Lime Pie mystery. I even spent some time on the ground in Asheville for this one, on my honeymoon. So what else is on the horizon? My life has changed a lot in the last 2 years. I started my dream job, got married, and made some videos with my free time. The channel may be monetized, but until it grows way more, my tenuous upload schedule remains. I'll keep chipping away, putting out content when I can. I hope you'll stick with me. Thanks for watching, and happy 2020.